Hello and welcome to That Shooting Show. My name's Steve Anderson. I am your humble host. We are once again joined by my friend Joey Sauerland, and we're going to get to him in just a minute after we thank our sponsors. You got Walther Firearms, title sponsor of the program. You got CR Speed. You got Targets USA. You got Hunters HD Gold. You got OutdoorDynamics.net. You got ShootingSportsInnovations.com, and I think that's everybody. Did I leave anybody out?
No, I think that's it. It is a little bit weird not hearing the full presentation.
Let's do it again. Targets USA is the finest. CR Speed is also the finest. AMG-lab.com Commanders and Timer, also the finest. Hunters HD Gold, the only eyewear that I wear. ShootingSportsInnovations.com and OutdoorDynamics.net.
You forgot Walt.
Here, Joey. Oh, Walther Firearms, the title sponsor of the program.
Boom. Nice. I'll pick up where you left off. Outdoor Dynamics, my sponsor. John Royer's out there at Outdoor Dynamics. He manufactures my 40 caliber ammo, and it works. Damn, let me tell you. He's loading Summit City bullets for me right now, 40 cal Summit City bullets, which the profile of which have been by far the best I've experimented with, and I've experimented with a lot. And then my personal title sponsor, Masterpiece Arms, which everybody I think knows, making the best 2011 platform race guns and the most affordable on the market. That brand new Walther steel frame is pretty nice. It's got a nice steel frame on it. It's one step closer to a 2011, a steel frame 2011.
It's the finest.
The finest. The finest.
Walther steel frame when you had it there in Lima. Did you ever shoot it?
I did hold it. Everybody else had already shot up all the ammo out of the steel frame Walther and the Masterpiece Arms limited optics gun because they were loving both of them with the Outdoor Dynamics ammo so much. There was none left.
I just remember giving you knuckleheads an entire box of ammo and expecting to take some home, and I didn't even get the box back.
No, we there was 1,000 rounds. I think there was 1,000 rounds in there, and everybody just chewed it up.
All the guns ran flawlessly, I assume. I was off doing other stuff with shooting guns.
Yeah.
All right. So what we are here to talk about today is the classes that you and I are doing together. We have 4 of them on the schedule after a beautifully successful inaugural run in Lima, Ohio at the Midwest Shooting Center. And what I really want to do is get people to understand what is different about this opportunity and why they should suck up the sticker shock and come get everything they need in 2 days of, as you put it, an immersive shooting experience.
Truly immersive. Yeah, it costs a little bit more than some other classes, but you're getting the creme de la creme of a $500 class with one person and la creme de la creme of a $500 class with another person. I think it should cost closer to $1,000 in terms of value, but I don't think anybody would sign up for it then. But yeah, the first one went so well. To say that it changed some lives is not an exaggeration. It's completely true.
Emails. And what's really cool is those are folks that I have worked with before.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were doing mental management for the second time. People always get something else out of it the second time.
I certainly did.
And I would imagine it's difficult to think of somebody right offhand who has come so far so quickly as you have.
And that is what the day with me is intended to present. The tools and skills that I have used the most and that have worked the best for me to make just raw rapid gains in speed, accuracy, match performance. And what's funny is one of the things that I'm not teaching in this class that has made one of the biggest differences out of everything that I've done is mental management. And that's something they're going to get on the other day with you.
Yeah. The other thing they're going to get is shot calling, which here's how I understand shooting performance. Okay. If I know how to dry fire and I'm creative in the way that I do that, okay, and I learn how to call my shots. And that means I can spend most of my live fire reinforcing my shot calling. Because that's the only thing you can't get from dry fire is calling shots in live fire. Everything else you can pretty much do in dry fire if you're smart and if you're creative. And then
Agreed.
we combine the mental game on top of that. I just don't know what else you need.
No, I think it's entirely comprehensive. I think a unclassified. I was gonna say D class is a class, right?
Sure.
Okay, well, someone below D class, an unclassified shooter who's new, who at least knows the basic safety rules of USPSA, could show up to this class and leave with what they need to be M class. I think in 12 months,
if they pay attention and if they apply themselves when the class is over.
If they apply what they've learned, yeah.
Now,
Because a big thing that I try to explain to people is you're not going to leave the class an M class shooter. You're going to leave the class equipped with everything you need to become an M class shooter. We're talking about this unclassified person. I think an M class person could come with everything they need to make a GM. And actually, I think we had, what's the really attractive guy's name? Skylar Davis. He made GM. Was he already a GM? No, I think he made GM just after. And then there was one other guy. One of the Midwest crew guys. Trey Ward also made GM right after. So it doesn't matter what level you are. You come take the stuff that you got in this class and just start laying it down, start putting in the work. And you got to take it seriously. You got to buy into it, especially the mental management stuff. It's you have to say, okay, I'm actually going to do it. I'm not going to listen to it and then decide how much of it I want to do. Got to actually do it and change your life. Not just you shoot, change your life.
Do all of it. When people go through mental management, and I just had one today. A guy went through mental management a long time ago, and he's having some consistency problems. And I talked to him because I'm incredibly patient. And finally, we get to the flow chart, and he goes, "Wait a second, what flow chart?" And I'm like, OMG. Wait, the young people don't say OMG anymore, do they? What do they say when they're incredulous?
They say, I don't even know. Maybe if we were typing, I'd say LMAO, what? WUT, what?
And it turns out that he was applying, he's working in the journal, he's doing everything he's supposed to be doing, but he either had forgotten the flow chart or had forgotten the flow chart. And one of the greatest things about mental management is you literally get a piece of paper that tells you what to think about for every single minute of that competition day. And so when you know what to think about and you can control what you think about, it's pretty powerful. Now, a couple of questions for you. If I'm somebody who is skeptical of this and I say, there is no way Joey Sauerland is going to teach me how to beat him, he's going to hold something back, how would you respond to that?
I'm going to be totally honest. If a limited division grandmaster signs up, I might just refund them their money and not let them come to the class, because I legit, and I say that sarcastically, I probably wouldn't actually do that, but I would have hesitations about teaching it, because it's what I do every day. You're going to learn how to do what I do every single day, why I do it, what to focus on while you're doing it, what you should and shouldn't be getting out of it. And what I have done, right? What I have done up to here and what I am doing now, you're going to get all of it. And all of those things are very, very applicable to every single level. Maybe for a higher level person, the par times are going to be shorter. The visual information is going to be higher quality. But that's okay. You're still on the same process. You're still on the same learning curve with the same tools and materials. So I would be concerned if someone who I thought was threatening me in my division signed up for the class.
I think you would absolutely teach them everything you know, and I think you'd work just a little bit harder to stay ahead of them. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's
because
good.
I would suspect, because you're a coach in the fitness world and in the shooting world, and I'm sure that when you put your coach's hat on, you are not looking at somebody you're afraid is going to beat you. You're looking at somebody you want to help. That's what I think.
Yep. Fair enough. That's true.
And I think you might think about it for a minute when you saw him on the sign up. Ooh, a limited G's coming to see me. And I think once you got started, I don't think it would ever cross your mind again.
I don't think so either.
That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hopefully.
Tell us what you're going to cover during your portion. Go ahead.
Oh, is that to me?
Yeah. So what's going to happen is when people show up, we're gonna divide them in half, and they are going to spend a day with me, and then a day with you, and then we're going to switch them. Okay. What are they going to get when they spend a day with you? What's going to happen?
So, day with me, we're going to spend a short amount of time covering just some of the basic things that you need to understand, basic concepts you need to understand in order to do the rest of what we're going to do. And those basic concepts include basically what's in your dry fire books: speed mode, accuracy mode, match mode. You need to have at least a vague understanding of the difference between those things. And you should know what dry fire is. That's all you need. That's all you need. And if you don't need that, we're going to talk about it for a few minutes anyway. Or if you don't have that, we're going to talk about it for a few minutes anyway. And then at the beginning, we're going to cover 3, maybe 4 drills, live fire drills, that comprise somewhere between 80 and 90% of all the live fire practice I've done in my entire life. Run those numbers, right? Now I haven't actually shot that much, right? I think I'm past 15, I think. I think I'm pushing 16,000 career live fire practice rounds in my life. And those 80 to 90% of those rounds, practice rounds, were done in these 3 to 4 drills. One of them, the fourth one's kind of like a modification, different focus of the third one, but it was in those drills. Everything else I did is in dry fire. The great bulk majority of my training is in dry fire, and the concepts that I use in dry fire that constitute the great majority of my training, that's what we're going to be covering the rest of the day. And we don't do all of those dry fire things in dry fire. Some of them we do in live fire just because live fire is a little more exciting, and I feel like some people might feel a little, I don't know, a little let down if we did spend, 4 hours dry firing. I feel like some people would be kind of, like, I want to shoot. Brought my gun, I brought all these bullets. I want to shoot my gun, So
what's funny about that? Hang on, I just want to stop you right there.
Yeah.
What's hilarious about that is when I made Grandmaster, I was the first Grandmaster in Ohio.
Hell yeah.
People were asking me all the time, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it? And then I would tell them exactly how I did it. And they would say, is there anything else I can do?
Yeah.
Is there any other way to get there besides exactly what you told me to do? And that's interesting because an instructor can give people what they want, or they can give people what they need.
Right.
What they want isn't always what they need. And because instructors are in sales and customer service, we do need to give people what they want.
Right.
But what we're really going to do is give them what they need.
That's right.
When we did the first class in Lima, I considered shortening, because I remember you and I had a conversation about it. I was going to shorten mental management a little bit. And then I said, you know what? Screw that. I'm not going to shorten anything. We're just going to make the day longer, because there is no way I can go to sleep at night giving people 70% of what they need. I'm going to give them 100% what they need. So I think it was hilarious when you said, dry fire is exactly how I achieve these skills. And we may live fire a little bit so you don't get bored. What I'm saying is, if you want to learn how to get to your potential as quickly as you possibly can, Joey and I are going to show you exactly how to do it. So please continue.
Yes. And it won't change the drill at all. One of the things that we're going to do is much easier if we have a par time that can measure the shots, for the measurability, instead of having me trying to change par times constantly for different people. So it's partially a practicality thing, and then partially an excitement thing, and then also, I mean, if you're gonna pay money for the class, you're gonna sign up, you're gonna drive up there, spend your time. I want you to have some really sweet videos to post on your Instagram of it, and those will also look cooler in live fire. So, yeah.
Well, and
And
that's a whole lot better than you standing behind them yelling bang, pow, bang, pow, bang.
then,
Like ordering Chinese food or something. Bang,
yeah.
pow, bang, pow.
So after learning everything that you need to learn to become one of the best shooters in the country, then we're going to do some exercise. And again, just like with the other stuff, really any fitness level is acceptable. If you're someone who's never been to the gym in their entire life and you're overweight and you had a knee injury last year, you can still do it. Part of the whole fitness thing, and part of my day job at my gym, my average client at the gym is probably 65-year-old female who's never been in the gym before in their life. That's my average client at my gym where I work. And I work with a big spectrum of people, but my job is making exercise that's designed to be functional, meaning we're not sitting down and doing bicep curls to pump your arms up, right? We're doing exercises that are going to make your hips and your legs move and work better, right? Long term. My job is adjusting that so it can be done by people at any fitness level and making it challenging and effective and doable for people at any fitness level. And so that's what I'm offering. And even if you're somebody who already works out, even if you think there's nothing to be gotten out of it, you'll probably still get something out of it. And it is very much a minority of our day. We'll spend 40 minutes, probably 45 minutes or so at the end of the day doing the fitness exercise stuff. So it's not a significant chunk of the day. It's an add-on. It's an extra.
Now you've got some formal education in the muscles and the things in the exercising, right?
I have a bachelor's degree in kinesiology and health from my university. Yeah.
Does that qualify you to give specific recommendations based on injuries?
Yes, there's legal restrictions around giving dietary advice, but there are not such restrictions that I know of. I feel like I would know about them if there were, about exercise for injuries. Yeah, I'm basically a physical therapist too. I get people from physical therapy, and the physical therapy usually tends to be pretty cookie cuttery. They open up the book, and I'm not saying physical therapists, especially if there's any listening to this podcast, I'm not saying they're monkeys, but they might say, hey, you got a torn rotator cuff? Well, I'm going to open up my book. That's a blue square, and it fits in this hole. I'm just going to put that in the hole. This page says rotator cuff, so here's what you're going to do. It seems to me like that frequently. I'm instead much more hands-on. We're going to figure out what works, and we're going to do it.
So dry fire, live fire, would it be fair to say that your program puts an emphasis on getting faster?
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, movement speed, movement quality, and efficiency will be large takeaways. Large portion of what we're doing.
I did a podcast yesterday on 13 ways to increase your hit factor. I got the idea kind of late in the day, and I was in a little bit of a hurry putting it together. And I got to 13 things, and I almost forgot splits and foot speed. Completely forgot, because they are the last things for the average shooter that the average shooter needs to worry about: splits and foot speed.
Right? Agreed.
And I forgot another one, which brings us to mental management. And I sort of alluded to this like I frequently do, but the easiest way to increase your points per second is to reduce your thoughts per second. Low number of thoughts per second will equal a high number of points per second.
We need the shirts.
And that brings us to mental management. Okay.
Yes.
What we're going to do in mental management, people frequently tell me that I can read their minds, meaning we get into day one, introduction to mental management, and I start asking people what their mental challenges is, and I'm nodding there. So would you characterize that as over trying? Yes. How did you know? Would you characterize that as overthinking? How in the world did you know that? And that's because every competition shooter has the exact same mental opportunities and mental challenges.
Mm-hmm.
What we're going to do in the day with me is we're going to go through the entire mental management program in as much detail as we need for people to understand it, because there's a big difference. When you were studying the human body, did you move from memorization to understanding?
Yeah, pretty quickly. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because you can memorize the names of things, but when you understand how things work together, it is so much more powerful than memorizing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to do for people. We're going to do the entire mental management program, and then that'll be roughly 3/4 of the day with me. And then we're going to go to the range. And I am going to insist that people learn or at least glimpse the possibility of the most important skill you can have in practical shooting, and that is calling every shot.
Big time.
Because if, and probably in today's environment, I would imagine most serious shooters are dry firing a lot more than they live fire. And that's great. I fully endorse that. However, if you don't know how to call your shots, that gap is a lot more severe, is a lot wider, is a lot harder to overcome. Right? When you know how to call your shots, it solves the speed versus accuracy problem. And it frequently really helps the mental game because, as you said the last time we spoke, shot calling is not thinking, it's knowing.
You just sitting there watching the gun go off, just watching it.
Right. It's just like watching a beautiful sunset. You're not thinking, you're just taking it in.
Yep.
Make your own jokes. And then now your conscious mind is occupied with something. Can't the way you're leaning back makes your arms look twice as big as your head. It's really disconcerting.
That's actually just reality. Normally it's skewed the other way by the camera. This is actually how it really is.
But when the conscious mind is focused on shot calling and you combine that with a subconscious stage plan, you'll get that magical feeling of it feels kind of slow, and then you hear the time and you can't even believe how great it is.
Yep.
So I'm going to cover mental management. I'm going to cover accuracy at speed. I'm going to cover shot calling, and I'm going to cover matchmaking. Right. And
right.
When Joey literally shows you how to dramatically increase your speed, and I'm guessing primarily in the non-shooty bits, right?
Largely, yeah, almost entirely.
The non-shooty bits, because remember, hit factor is points per second, which means if you're not shooting and you can't be shooting, you need to minimize that period of time. And Joey has just rage quit because he didn't like the comment about his arms and his head, and he's back.
had to plug my phone in. Let me know if my sound gets weird at all, because I plugged it into this speaker because I don't have a charger in here.
The sound is fine, and now your head looks almost as big as your arm, so that's actually much better for the YouTube.
Damn. All right.
You have to lean back a little bit to get that going. Yeah. But here are the current dates. We have July 5 and 6 at the beautiful Cavalier Rifle and Pistol Club in Richmond, Virginia. July 27 and 28 at Mission 160 near Dallas. August 15 through 18 in Richmond, California. That one's pretty cool because I will be coaching people through the match. I believe class is Thursday and Friday, and then there's a match, Richmond Rod and Gun Club, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to split the group in half, and I'll be doing match mode coaching for both of those days, which is so much fun. And then September 6, 7, and 8 in Michigan. I think you're shooting that one. Did you know you're shooting that one?
Which one am I shooting?
September 6th through 8th in Michigan. There's a match at the end of that one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll shoot it. Sure.
Okay. So that's what we have right now. And by the time this is posted, we'll get Mission 160 on the website before we post the podcast, so people can sign up for that one. Let's talk about the elephant in the room a little bit more. The price.
Oh yeah.
It's expensive.
Well, I mean, personally, I don't think anyone can afford not to sign up. So that's how I'm looking at it. But in terms of, what's your time and what's your ammo worth? Because that's what you're going to save a lot of. That's what you're going to save probably thousands of dollars of. What's your time and what's your ammo worth? What if you came to this class, Steve, without a gun and no interest in shooting USPSA, and you took the lessons from mental management and you took them seriously with an open mind and applied them in your life, and you're not a shooter, you don't even shoot USPSA, never heard of the shooting sports, and then you take the exercise stuff that we're going to do at the end, take it seriously with an open mind, take notes, start doing it on a regular basis and progressing it. Oh my God. That should cost more than the price we have. If with no shooting material involved at all, as someone whose life has been changed by mental management, the mental management alone is worth that much. Plus the exercise should be worth even more. And then that's without covering any shooting skills of any kind at all.
We are going to cover virtually everything you need to do with a gun to get where you want to go.
It's an immersive experience.
And there's going to be party tricks. A great class needs party tricks. People need to do something extraordinary so they can feel great about what they just learned. But I cannot stress enough, what you do after these classes is far more important than what happens over the course of these 2 days. There is some percentage of people that do not apply 100% of mental management. And I know, because they're the ones who keep calling me and saying this isn't working. And I say, are you doing this, this, and this? No, I'm not doing those things. Okay, well, call me back after you've done them. I don't say that because I'm much nicer about it. But
right, of course.
We always find out, always, that there's some portion of it that they're not doing.
Right.
And I would imagine you have exercise clients that like to skip leg day or whatever day they don't like.
Right.
And you probably are very nice and polite and say, looks like you've been missing out on leg day a little bit, because you can probably tell, can't you?
It's actually it's like a funny thing to accuse people of skipping leg day, but in reality, things that people skip out on. All of my people show up for their workouts and they do them hard, and they do them well, they do them frequently. But when they leave, when they go home, where the diet starts to matter, someone tells me they want to lose weight, decrease their risk of heart attack and diabetes long term, live a higher quality life, better longevity. And I say, okay. They show up for their workouts and they get stronger, get more mobile, get faster, right? Their body works better, but they're not losing any weight. I'll say, you're coming in, you're doing your workouts, your body works better now. You're training your body very well, but you're not losing weight. What are you doing at home? How many days a week are you sticking to your diet plan? And they'll say, yeah, okay, well, yeah, I'm not there. And I'm like, I know. The ball is in your court. You have the materials you need. It's now your choice of whether or not you're going to do that thing and become the person you want to be. And that is the tool. That is the thing that mental management makes not just possible, but measurable, plannable, and doable. Becoming the person you want to be, mental management is just the instruction booklet, which, as a man, I never read the instructions first. I wait until I F it up more than once and tell at least one other person who suggested that I read the directions that I don't need to. After all of that, I then go back to read the instructions, because I realize that that's probably going to make my job a lot easier. And it has. And that's what mental management is. It's the instruction booklet for becoming who you want to be.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that people will get to do in the mental management portion, a third of the program, is pretty sweet. You get to define a goal, and it can be whatever goal you want. And people will tend to say, oh, let's set something realistic. Well, the problem with a realistic goal is it inspires realistic change. An unrealistic goal inspires unrealistic change.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not telling people what to want. All I'm saying is if you want something big, don't be afraid to want something big. You're just going to need to make bigger changes. And then
Mm-hmm.
once they've identified the goal, we have them compare their habits and attitudes with somebody who can reach that goal. And
Right.
then what we do, we eliminate the differences. Somebody who wants to be a GM who's dry firing once a week, those are inconsistent ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them has to change.
One's got to die.
Well, either I'm going to dry fire 15 minutes a day and get what I get, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you're telling me you want to be a GM and you're dry firing 15 minutes a day, that's going to take a very long time, because I can tell you, and you can tell people as well, the path to GM is not measured in days, weeks, months, or years. It's measured in hours.
Yeah.
The path to be a champion is measured in hours.
Yeah. And one of the things that I wasn't very good at explaining what was in my class. You kind of had to remind me. One of the things that I emphasize volume, right? Minutes and hours. Minutes and hours is probably going to be the number one deciding factor. But I think you can multiply that number of hours by a certain percentage, and that percentage is the quality. And that's one of the things that I work on with people in my class is training with a singular point of focus, not like a match mode singular point of focus. That's a different thing, and they'll learn what that is from you. But training with a singular point of focus, with some real intent, some real high quality information processing, both physical, visual, whatever, and making sure that you're as close to 100% as possible, right? So if I train for 2 hours a day, but I'm kind of going through the motions. If I do it 10 times, I did it 10 times. And I'm not really pushing myself. And I'm not really sure what my goal is here, but I'm just going to do the reps. You could probably get that 2 hours down to about 1 hour in terms of, 100% quality. If you're dry firing for 2 hours at 50% quality, I want you to get most out of your time. Time is valuable. That's what we're here to save people.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because I truly don't know, and you and I talked about this a bunch, I truly don't know what percentage of USPSA or practical shooters in general understand that the only reason they should be practicing is to make a high level of skill available without conscious thought.
Yeah.
And if we are not breaking ground on a new level of skill, we might just be demonstrating what we can already do without conscious thought. That's not improving.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We got to break ground, and the conscious mind is required to do that, right? So the conscious mind says, okay, here's this thing. I'm going to make a couple of changes. It's going to be really weird at first. And my shooting is going to suck, by the way. My actual shooting is going to suck while I am changing these things that I'm doing. Okay.
Right.
When those changes become subconscious, and there's two things going on there. Number one, that's where we don't really care about the target if we're really breaking down skill. And number two, you've got to do it until it's so subconscious that you can return your attention to the actual shooting. And it's a very strong case for not thinking about specific techniques while you're actually shooting. If I know that I shoot like crap when I'm thinking about my feet, which is the case for most people,
right.
why in the world would I think about my feet in competition so I can shoot like crap? It makes no sense.
Right.
Let's do that in training so that it becomes subconscious at a higher level of human function. Use mental management to have a singular focus. Use the reinforcement phase to build, repair, protect self-image. And brother, you can get everything you need.
Boom.
I almost wish I could go back in time and take my own freaking class, because all I care about giving people is the information that I wanted when I was starting out and I didn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah. Well, and the mental stuff, a lot of the shooting stuff and the movementy stuff is a little bit more, I'm not going to say it's objective, because the one thing mental management does is it makes the mental game objective versus subjective, right? It's very tangible, it's measurable, it's plannable, it's repeatable. That's objective. Mental management makes the mental game in shooting objective and not a mystery. It's not a vibe anymore. what was the vibe? How did it feel? It's like, no. Were you doing this specific thing? Yes or no? It's so objective. It's so measurable. And that's what's earth shattering, because no one, I think, anyone who's taken mental management, I don't think has anywhere near that firm of a grasp on the mental game, which is such a huge part of the sport. Everyone knows it.
I know. Oh, and that's another way to think about the elephant in the room, right? What do you think? So let's say I'm going to shoot nationals, couple of state matches, and 4 area matches, and I'm going to train with ammunition to do all these things and travel and all the rest of it. What do you think that annual budget might be?
I don't know, but it's a lot of cheese.
Let's just say it's 10 grand. Okay.
Yeah, that's not unreasonable.
Oh, dude, that was my average when I was competing, was 10, and I didn't even shoot a lot of area matches because I had a job where I had to work a lot of weekends.
Yeah,
But
and that's if you're sticking with the same guns too. I think that's reasonable. If you're buying new guns still,
oh, forget about it.
if you haven't settled on a gun, then yeah.
So let's just say it's 10 grand plus or minus, okay? And you've told me that the mental game is 90% of the game, okay? Well, $800 is not 90% of 10 grand. But
Fact.
we're going to solve what you just said was 90% of the sport, in addition to all the technical stuff. It's
Right.
quite fun. It really is.
And even if we roll with the way I look at it, which is, and I think it was actually you told me this, but the percentage of the game that's mental is probably about the same as whatever your classification level is.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's well above 90%. It's in the high 90s. In the high 90s. If you're a beginner, like, if you actually have never shot a target that was 30 yards away before, then the mental game's probably not what's holding you back, right? There's probably actually some skill involved, right? But even if we're talking about 30%, if your budget's 10 grand for the year, flights, hotels, gas, miles on your car, ammo, guns, shit, match entry fees, that's still 3 grand.
Right. And going back to the beginner has a unique opportunity to get the mental right from day one,
which is just unimaginable to me.
Unimaginable.
I had to put it together wrong first and get frustrated and be told by someone else in the room, I don't think that's the right way. What do the instructions say? And respond with, I don't need the instructions. I know what I'm doing. And then waste more of my time and more of my energy. And with this assembling furniture analogy, I wasn't, I'm not spending any more money doing it. But in the shooting analogy, I was definitely spending money doing it. And until I got frustrated enough and had wasted enough time that I was like, wow, great. Now I have to go all the way back to the beginning, take it apart, and read the instructions. But the worst, which is a pain, and it takes effort and it takes an open mind to say, oh, okay, now I got to take it all apart. And I got to start reading and listening to this other instruction booklet, like, what a pain. But your other option is to keep effing around with it until you break something, or it's never going to get put together right.
I have so much fun learning new things now that I've become certified in mental management, because every time I go to learn something new, I get to do three things that are really fun. The first thing I do is proclaim myself to be the best student in the room. Hey, I'm the best student here, which is true, always true. The second thing I do is, if the instructor tells me the things that I'm doing wrong, I ignore them. So if the instructor tells me 11 things I'm doing wrong, I ignore every single one of them, don't even listen. And then when they're finally done telling me 11 things I'm doing wrong, I ask one question. Do you know what that question is?
What's that?
What do I need to do to be successful?
Boom.
And it's always one thing. After they told me 11 things I'm doing wrong, and I say, what do I need to do to be successful right now? Oh, just do this. In the case of silhouette rifle shooting, put the crosshairs in the pig's armpit. Okay, why didn't you start with that?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. All right, is there anything you want to add about these 4 events? July 5 and 6, Richmond, Virginia, July 27, 28. Have you been to Mission 160 in the Dallas area?
Yes, I shot Area 4 there last year.
What a great facility. So cool.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice. It was warm.
August 15th
Hydrated.
through 18, Richmond, California might have the best weather on the planet.
Woo!
The weather in Richmond, California, I have not experienced better weather anywhere. And September 6th through 8th at the Oakland County Sportsmen's Club in Clarkson, Michigan. If you listen to this program and you want me and Joey to come to your range later in the year, is going to be the time to do it. November, December. For me, probably. We haven't compared calendars in a while, but for me, that's what's going to need to be.
All
well, right.
Let me leave it off with a quick story, because it's something that I want you to be in tune with, so that you'll understand it when I say it. So, great is your thing, right? You taught me that. Great, right? And sometimes it baffles people. Either they think I'm being cocky or they think I'm stupid. Both of which are true. Okay, first of all, not incorrect. But someone say like, "Hey, Joey, how's your match going?" Great. And they're like, "Oh, huh." That's for some reason not the answer I was expecting. And sometimes, and that question sometimes will come after, someone knows that I don't know, maybe not placing where I wanted to, or maybe messed up on a stage or something, or whatever, right? How's your match going? Great. And they're like, "Oh, despite the whatever." I said, "Stop. I'm a great shooter. My shooting is great. I shoot great matches. Period." And that it might seem a little bit snake oily, but that's when I say that, I don't just say it because like, oh, if I say it enough times, then I'll start to believe it. No, it's 100% true, and I believe it in my mind. It's a huge part of how I perform the way I perform. But I wanted to add this other thing. You've ever heard of the guy Jocko Willink? Does that name mean anything to you? He's like a former, I forget what, Navy SEAL, Green Beret, something Special Forces-y. And he has this, he's now like a fitness motivational speaker kind of guy, influencer. And he has this spiel about good. And so he tells this story. They're out in the desert somewhere. And Corporal comes up or whatever and says, "Oh, sir, these trucks that have our equipment that we're supposed to get aren't here yet. And we don't know where they are." And he says, "Good. Now we'll have an opportunity to learn how to solve this problem without that equipment. And we'll be even better at it and prepared for the future. Good." And he goes on and he gives, 8 more examples of, "Oh, this problem, this hurdle." Good. Good. And so we started saying that at work, and we actually started using it really sarcastically, but it is serious. But at work, my boss will come in and be like, "Hey, toilet 2 isn't flushing." I'm like, "Good. I hope it's not." Good. I was hoping to learn how to fix toilets today. I was hoping to get to plunge somebody else's crap down a toilet today. Good. No, that's sarcastic. But no, the story I wanted to tell, South Carolina Section Championship this past weekend, incredible match. Huge shout out to all the people who made that match happen. Todd, Tom, all the sponsors, amazing time. Also, quick side note, Masterpiece Arms crushed every division they competed in. First place in open, I think first and second in limited optics, and first place in limited. We smashed MPA all the way, baby. Anyway, so I shot this stage, and I FTSA'd a target, and that target was kind of towards the back, and I could hear the whole squad. Once I finished unload, choke, clear, there was no, the whole squad was high energy there, and there'd been woos and clapping and "yeah, buddy" all day long after every shooter shoots, and it was dead quiet. And I was like, that's odd. And so then, sure enough, the RO giving me a chance to, look at the target or question it, he says, "Hey, you didn't shoot at this target back here." And I said, instantly, and it sounds made up, might sound cliche. It's 100% true, and it's 100% genuine. Immediately, because what I had done was I had changed my stage plan last minute to take this popper. There were 2 poppers available from the back, and one of them was available from the front. I changed my stage plan to take just the one that I had to from the back and the other one from the front, so I could shoot it up close, shoot less poppers from farther back, and all that focus on the popper. I changed my stage plan to that a couple minutes before I shot, and I already done all my other mental reps the other way. So for those mental management people out there, my conscious mind was putting way too much emphasis on that popper, and that overrode my subconscious stage plan and left that target out that had been in most of my mental reps. So FTSA the target, and my first thought, RO says, hey, you didn't shoot this target back here. And that's why everybody was dead silent. Maybe they were thinking I was going to be upset, oh, top level shooter, GM, he's going to be pissed. It's a big deal. Said, hey, you didn't shoot this target. Immediately, I said, good. Apparently, I needed a reminder that double, triple checking your round count when you're doing mental reps is important and needed, necessary, and changing your stage plan last minute, even if it is a better stage plan slightly, not a good idea. Apparently, I needed a reminder, and if I hadn't FTSA'd that target, I would not have gotten that reminder. And the next match I'm shooting is IPSC Nats.
Ooh,
good.
South Carolina, that IPSC Nationals.
Good. Good.
All right, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed another chat with me and Joey Sauerland. July 5 and 6, Cavalier Rifle and Pistol, Richmond, California. July 27, 28, Mission 160 near Dallas. It's actually called White Right. And August 15 through 18, Richmond, California, Richmond Rod and Gun Club, and September 6th through the 8th at the Oakland County Sportsmens Club in Clarkson, Michigan. All those are available on andersonshooting.com. Just click upcoming classes. All right, and until we meet again on the range, on the Zoom, on the phone, or anywhere else, be like me, do what I do, say it with Joey. 1, 2, 3.
Get to work.
Get to work.